Hi my angels, welcome back to another video on my channel. I'm so happy to have you guys today with me for today's topic. Today's topic is all about how ego vs healing, what's keeping you stuck. So, let's begin. As humans, we all tend to want us to be perfect. No one likes to admit that they're wrong, that they have things to improve about themselves, that they have flaws. And the reality is that healing comes with a huge responsibility because it makes you realize that even though you didn't choose your circumstances and what you went through, you have to improve your current patterns that are not serving you. You have to stop the self sabotaging. You have to stop anything that is damaging your potential self due to your traumas, your experiences. And that is why, for many people, healing is not possible because it takes a lot of humility to take on the side, to take off your ego and understand that even though it's not your fault and it's unfair, you have to work on it. Because if you don't try to improve yourself and to heal those things waiting to be taken care of, you're never gonna grow. You're never gonna learn. And yeah, so let's talk about the problem. When someone begins their healing journey, they realize that they have went through all of those hard experiences. They're starting to realize a lot of their traumas, a lot of the current patterns that they are doing from what it's linked to. And the reality is that they realize that first, probably the person that did this to them or whatever the situation, the trauma, well, the person is probably not going to take accountability. The reality is that you have to take accountability for yourself. You have to take accountability for your inner child, for helping your inner child heal and grow, even though that's it shouldn't be how it works. You should get some apologies from what you went through. You should have not went through that, but unfortunately it's not like that. Life doesn't work like that. And so healing requires to take responsibility and requires to work on yourself, to work on anything not serving you and on your flaws and on the things that you're currently doing that are self-sabotaging yourself. Even though it's linked from experiences you didn't choose, it takes responsibility to understand that you will have to stop them no matter what is the cause and no matter if you did this to yourself, if it's your fault. No, you have to help yourself even though you didn't choose what happened to you. And so that's when the ego can sometimes come. So let's talk about what is the ego. The ego is the part of the mind designed to protect our self-image. And so psychologically, the ego works as a defense mechanism and it wants to keep us safe from shame, guilt, or admitting that we're wrong. And so when we're healing and the ego face the idea of changing or improving yourself, the ego resists it because it interprets growth as a threat to who we believe we are. And it makes us rationalize, reflect, and even deny because accepting that we need to change will feel like an attack on our identity. And so that's when you start your healing journey, that's when you have to rationalize between your ego and what is actually good for you. Because don't get me wrong, our ego is essential for our confidence, to give us drive. It is a good thing. But as anything out there, it has his downsides and it has his good sides. And when I started my healing journey, my ego was a lot there. And it was hard because I remember I needed to, it's like your ego is there to make you believe that you don't have anything to change about yourself, that you're perfect the way you are. And when you have to take it off and, play, like, you don't have to play against it, you have to play with it, to understand it, because most of the time your ego will protect you, will react really, your ego will act and protect you in circumstances that are linked to something you have to understand about yourself. And it's not always easy because sometimes it might come from your traumas and it comes from a lot of after emotions that you have to process. But I remember when I started my healing journey and I started to work with my ego instead of against it, it made a huge difference because it made me learn more about myself, about my flaws, about my insecurities. And so your ego is a good thing because the more you learn about yourself, the more you will uncover your strengths and your blind spots. And when you start being aware of your flaws, of your insecurities, your in what your ego is trying to tell you when it feels really defensive to a certain event coming up to you and you don't understand why, well, when you start to become aware of where it comes from, of why you have that within yourself, it's easier to change it, to improve it. And the more you understand yourself, the better it is to go through life and to not be too hard on yourself. Because when you start to learn about yourself, to understand yourself, you build compassion, you build trust, you build vulnerability within yourself, and you don't judge yourself so much. In the contrary, you welcome yourself because you welcome every part of yourself that are not as perfect as your qualities. Short-term comfort vs long-term growth. Using awareness and stepping into healing brings you way more advantages and benefits towards who you could become into your potential self and achieving your dream life than letting your ego or yourself believe you have nothing to change about yourself. First of all, this is not even realistic. It's not even possible. No one is perfect and no one ever will be. It's either you stay the same or you go behind, you never grow. In the contrary, you self-sabotage yourself and you just take a lot of bad decision, or you grow, you learn the more you can about yourself and you improve every one of those aspects. Which one would you prefer being? And I doubt you are letting your ego win you and protect you if you're watching this video, so good job for that. But yeah, so I want to talk about something. Even if you decide to, the reality is that if you decide to let your ego believe that it's perfect, if you decide to never heal, to never do the inner work, your inner demons are always going to be projected into your relationships, into how you show up out there. Because your brain takes your experiences in your childhood and programs it into believing that's who you are, that's your identity, and that's what you deserve from what you experience. So until you start to gain the awareness of this is not true, I deserve better, I need to stop those patterns that are self-sabotaging me, that are making me be a people pleaser because I've never received love in my childhood, well, you're just going to let yourself be the same inner child that just wants love and that don't understand why they had to go through that. And sometimes you're gonna have so much anger inside because you need to process all of those things. The things that you guys have to understand is that your experiences, they need to be processed. There's a lot of people that never process their emotions, their traumas, their patterns, and how does it turn up? They're gonna be violent, they're gonna become abusive, like it's way deeper than we believe. And I don't want to get too long on that, but thinking you're perfect, you have nothing to change about yourself is never gonna get you anywhere. And yeah, it's hard, but guys, no one is perfect out there. You guys all know it. So let's not act like we are. So let's talk about how you can start your healing journey and working with your ego instead of against it. First, you're gonna have to drop some of that ego at first. And it's gonna feel scary because you're gonna be so vulnerable it's so vulnerable to face yourself with your insecurities, with your flaws, with what you need to work on. But this is freeing after because by understanding them, you're leading yourself towards growth, towards understanding yourself better and how you can improve those things about yourself. And when you would have been able to improve those things, you're going to be able to work on other things. And when you heal certain parts, well, it leads you to stepping closer to your potential self and into believing that they deserve more, they can achieve more. And that is why you're going to be able to achieve your dream reality, your potential self. You're going to gain confidence, clarity about who you are, about what you want, your values. It is a beautiful thing. And I know it's hard. And it's an ongoing journey. I am still healing to this day, but it has made me grow and become so much a better person than I ever was because I've been able to take care of myself and what needed to be processed. So, another thing, don't see it as your enemy. See it as something that can help you achieve your potential self and grow. See it as a guide. So, is there a certain situation where your ego is super defensive about something, where your ego, you're seeing yourself really act intensively, and start to reflect on why this situation made you feel this way so much? And it's probably going to be linked to something you experienced in your childhood. And when you start to gain awareness and you start to link those things together, it helps you to become rational about the whole situation, and it makes you after show up differently in your circumstances, in your relationships, because you are becoming rational about your behavior and the fact that it's not other people's problem, it's not their fault, it's something that comes within that you need to work on, but it has nothing to do with your surroundings. It has to do with you processing it and being there for yourself. As I said earlier, the more you learn about yourself, the more you uncover your blind spot and your strengths. The more you know about your flaws, about your strengths, the more you can work with them and improve them. And when you know about your strengths, you can use them to your advantages for achieving a certain dream, for understanding even your path and what you want to do in life. And with your blind spot, it's going to help you to understand where it comes from, how to understand that, you can stop it, how to improve it. Before ending this video, my angels, what I want you guys to remember is that working with your ego, letting it down a little bit, and improving yourself and understanding yourself is the best gift you can give yourself. Because I was even listening to a podcast yesterday and it was talking about healing, and the man was talking about a man that took off his own life, and he had everything that we believe will make us happy. He had the happiness, the success, the family, but he hadn't dealt with his inner demons, his inner traumas. And it's deeper than we think, because when you don't deal with your inner demons, with your inner traumas, you will have difficulty accepting who you are because you didn't even accept what you went through and why you deserved it. And you won't have a rational idea of who you are. You will have an idea of your experiences and every little bad thing that happened to you. So, working with your ego is important, but also I'm telling you guys all this, but I don't want you guys to stress about becoming perfect tomorrow, because healing is an ongoing process. I am still healing to this day and it's going to continue until I die. But what you have to remember is that no one is perfect out there. We all have things to improve about ourselves. And the best way we can look at it is that once you just start gaining awareness about your current patterns, and slow by slow, just gaining awareness about your personality, your experiences, how you're acting that could be improved, that is the first biggest step towards healing and helping yourself, and that's truly all that matters. because it's not possible to tomorrow know everything you went through and to heal from it. It's going to be by chapters of your life that you're going to be capable of understanding new things about yourself, new things about your past. And that's one of the most beautiful things about healing, is that you get to learn more and more each chapters of your life about yourself and your inner child, and you get to learn about how to help them. So this was the end of my video, guys. I hope you liked it. I really enjoyed making this for you. And if you guys would like any videos on healing, let me know in the comments. Thanks for being there. And you've got this, my angels. I love you with all my heart. And I see you in another video. Bye bye.